Wow. Okay, so I am live, I think, in TikTok. I am live on Facebook. I am live on Instagram, I think. Kind of freaky to be, in 4 places at once. So, I guess, have you ever wondered how you could bring practical everyday magic into your life? So, hi, Anita, over there in TikTok land. So let me introduce myself a little bit. My name's Mandy, and I help young witches with practical everyday magic, and I help with the manifestation mindset. So without the confusion and frustration of information overload. So before I go really deep into introducing myself and my story, I want to clarify a few things. One of my things about being the word witch. So for me, the word witch is a very powerful, empowering word, but it's not just about women. It's not just female witches. It is boys too. And my stepson is slowly coming out of the broom closet. He kind of didn't stand a chance. His mom and I both have our own separate practices, and so, I'm all about some of my favorite creators out there in TikTok land are some of the male witch creators. They're amazing. So my program, men are definitely welcome to, not just the women. And I'm sorry if my eyeballs keep bouncing back and forth. I got 2 monitors, 2 screens going with a couple of different chats, so I'm just trying to monitor everything. And the other thing that I wanted to talk about was young. So when I say young to me is not about age. Young in witchcraft is about experience. So if you hear me say, I help young witches, you could be 40, 60, 80, 90. I don't care. It's about your experience. So I've got a few more people have jumped in. Thank you so much for joining me. And I appreciate it so very much. All right. So with that being said, witches are not just girls. Witches are gender neutral. Young is not about age. Young is about experience. So I wanted to talk a little bit tonight about kind of an unexpected journey that I went on. I was introduced really to witchcraft when I was about 17 years old. I found the book, The Mist of Avalon, and something in it clicked with me. I was raised by mostly my grandparents and my mom. My mom was raised as Jehovah's Witness. My grandparents were Jehovah's Witnesses. My grandparents got divorced, and that kind of disappeared out of my life. And for the next 10 years, I had been to a Southern Baptist church. I had been to a Methodist church. I've been to Catholic churches, Lutheran churches. And when I was about 18, I went, I'm agnostic. I believe that there is a higher being, a higher God, a higher spirit, whatever you want to call it. But I don't believe in religion. So that was one of the things that kind of, when I say that something in the Mist of Avalon kind of spoke to me, it was more about the beliefs, and then not necessarily everything is religion. So that was my introduction, and I still love those books. All the way through college, every time a new book came out, I'm at the bookstore spending what little money I had. And you have to remember now, I'm gonna date and age myself just a little bit. That was in the 90s. So the internet really wasn't much of a thing yet. There was not nearly the amount of information available. There was one little tiny metaphysical store where I went to college, and there was one bookstore. So whatever they had was what what I could get my hands on. And I bought my first Oracle deck, that probably my freshman year of college, and I bought it mostly because it aesthetically spoke to me. It was, I don't remember. It's something about a power deck, and I don't remember exactly the name of it. But something about it. And so I started dipping my toes in. I got into essential oils and aromatherapy, and then I graduated from college, and, well, what happens? You know, life becomes, a thing, and jobs and work, and witchcraft kind of went onto the back burner. It really did. Up until, let's see. Ooh. Witchcraft. Okay, so that's weird. Alright, that's a TikTok thing going on over there. So, about 2009, what I didn't realize is I won't say all of, but most of the women in my life, and a lot of the other men, other people around me, a lot of them were witches, and I didn't know it. Because that's not something you go up to somebody and go, hey, are you a witch? The biggest way you probably know is based on clothes or jewelry or earrings. You don't really ask that question. So I didn't really know that probably about, I'd say at least 75% of my friends were all witches. And then come along to, here we are, 2009, my best friend gave me a tarot reading. Now, she does tarot a little bit differently. She doesn't do it with tarot decks. She has a tarot deck collection that is to die for, but she doesn't ever use them. She does tarot with playing cards, and it's really interesting to watch her do it. But something I still haven't figured out. Here we are 15 years later. But in 2009, she's giving me a reading, or it's 2008, yes, sorry. She was giving me a reading with playing cards, and she saw my now husband coming into my life. And so, here we are, 15 years later. He's still part of my life, and I am thoroughly a witch. So, that was kind of how I started, once again, dipping my toes back in. And the biggest thing with that, it was that there was so much information because, the internet. I have lots and lots of books. Some of them are contradictory to each other. I've read information on the internet that is very contradictory to each other. And it was really kind of, I'm not sure how to put it. It was frustrating. It was confusing. I didn't know what was real, what wasn't. And, that's okay. That's okay. So I kind of had to figure things out for myself. And again, I didn't really realize that, most of my friends were witches too. Otherwise, I'd have been going, hey, explain this to me. I don't get it. Why is this one saying this and this one says that? But I didn't realize everybody around me was witches too. In 2020, this is where my story becomes very unexpected and very weird. In 2020, I had kind of been studying, kind of been dabbling, doing some things. And because I was bored. We were going through this pandemic. It was crazy. And I was, at home, alone, a lot. So I started studying. Again, frustration, confusion. And August of 2020, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. Which I was going to pull up some pictures because I'm sure there are going to be people looking at me going, no, you weren't. Yes, I was. I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and I was freaked out. I'm not sure if I can drop an F-bomb on here or not, but I was freaked. And everything started happening very fast with my doctors, and hey, we're going to put this thing in you so that you can have chemo, and then you're going to start chemo within 2 weeks, and then my hair fell out, and then I dropped 25 pounds in 6 weeks, and my skin was uber super sensitive, and I started going, okay, gotta do something different, something, anything. So I started researching, getting into the herbs a little bit more, and taking herbs or not taking them, but drinking teas with herbs in them that would help with the nausea and help with, calming me down, because stress was huge. So it was a really big changing point in my life. So I started meditating more. I started journaling. I started just really doing much more witchcraft, just to kind of use it as, I wouldn't say as an escape, I would say it more as to give me a sense of having some sort of control over my own life. The fact that I'm, they're pumping all this medication into me, and I'm sick, and, it was just a way to go, okay, I've got to have some control over what's happening to me. So around that time, I started looking for a holistic witchery program to learn from, and I found one eventually. I really enjoy the women that I'm learning from, that the way they're teaching it, but a lot of their stuff is use all of these crystals, and trust me, I've got crystals coming out my ears. Use these herbs, use these essential oils, do all the things, have all the tools, have all the stuff. And I went, okay. 2022, I started a business. It's called the Black Cat's Witchcraft and Apothecary. It is a drop shipping company. I started that company mostly as a way to try to combat the fact that I really couldn't work. I couldn't control when my schedule would be good, or, there were days where I'd sleep. And sleep and sleep and sleep. And there were other days where I didn't sleep for a couple in a row. And so I needed to be able to work for myself. I couldn't guarantee that I would be able to go somewhere and work for somebody else and be able to be there on the day that they, wanted me to be, or the time that they wanted me to be. So I created a business, and that's when I found out there really is a lot of over-commercialization with witchcraft. And I also found out that a lot of the stuff coming out of China that is witchcraft related is very, very much counterfeit. I was contacted by several tarot deck creators. I was contacted by a couple of different other artists, and I went, this isn't for me. If I had created these things, I would be pissed, completely pissed, if somebody in China took my work and then decided they were going to sell it on the internet and get other people to sell it on the internet. So I closed down all of the drop shipping stuff. I really wasn't happy with it anyway. And I switched over to doing print on demand. There we go. That's the word I'm looking for. So I started doing print on demand. And print on demand, I started doing t-shirts and hoodies and things like that. So I started taking a class. And because my knowledge is 30 years old, yes, I have a business degree, but the things that I know about from college are completely out of date. so very, 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 very much out of date. So, I took some business classes, and they had us start reading some very mundane books, some very well-known mundane books. Books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, The Power of Consistency, The Four Agreements, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. And I'm reading all of these books, and they are truly talking about manifestation. And I'm like, okay. And I decided that I wanted to write my own book on manifestation. So that's where the beginning of the Black Cat's Practical Magic Academy came from, was me writing this book. It's called Mastering Manifestation, it's Manifestation Mindset. And it is about taking the pieces that were very much in the mundane world, the things from, and I'm not copying Rich Dad, Poor Dad, or I'm not copying, but taking some of their ideas. I watched a 3-day conference from Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins talks about manifestation. So I take these ideas and then I put them with the witchcraft ideas, and then things really did start to click. So I created this program for the Black Cat's Practical Magic Academy. And, here we are 3 years later. We are celebrating 3 years cancer-free. And that's not really just a personal milestone, but a turning point. So my mission has truly become to cut through misinformation, offer a curriculum that's grounded in real, tangible empowerment tools. It's honestly probably one of the things that does set my academy apart from others is that I don't just focus on women. And I look at things from a very, very practical standpoint, because most of my adult life, I used to be a teacher, most of my adult life, money's always been a dirty word. And, it's only been in the last year that my husband started making enough money that we are okay. We're not great. We are okay. So I am very, very much focused on making sure things are practical and not saying, oh, hey, there's this great tarot deck out there. Go spend $25 on it. You don't have $25 to spend on your kids? Then don't spend $25 on a tarot deck. Meh. You know what I mean? So I really wanted things to be very much about practicality and using the things that you have, or creating things. If you need a tool, then create that tool with other things that you might have, instead of taking all of this, stuff and buying more stuff, because we all have too much stuff. I have an SCA hobby that involves sewing and clothing and costuming, and trust me, I have way more stuff in this house than I need. So buying more stuff for witchcraft really is not, unless I see something that really truly speaks to me, I'm not going out and buying a whole bunch of stuff for my witchcraft practice. I prefer to make things myself. So that's part of what I want to teach is how to take things and make them yourself and use the things you have around you. And that really was the motivation behind starting the academy, is focusing on making magic accessible and practical for everyone, not just the people that have income that they can blow on the latest and greatest tarot deck that's out there. Or the latest, the giant bottles of essential oils. Trust me, I get it. There's financially, there's always been, from being a teacher and then being a former teacher with cancer and not having money, money has been a hard thing for me for a very, very long time. So, not wasting money on things that I didn't need and buying more stuff. So, our mission is to cut through misinformation. It's to offer a curriculum grounded in what's real, tangible empowerment tools. And I'm sure there are probably people out there that will go, well, how do you know it's real? How do you know what you're doing is real? I did, don't tell my husband this, he'll get very, very upset with me. I did a money spell in 2022, in July. I did a money spell, and money was tight. I did a money spell. I used one I got off the internet. Biggest mistake I have ever made in my life. I used somebody else's money spell, and it backfired. It backfired so bad. 2 days later, my husband lost his job. So yeah, don't tell him. But yes, I did a money spell. It backfired. My husband lost his job. It took about 6 months for him to get the job that he has now. And every time I did a money spell in that 6 months, he would get a job and he would lose it. Oh, yes, Pink. You gotta be careful with the spells you find online, because you just never know. And you don't know what somebody else's intentions were when they created this spell. So, I really, really, really am very, very much about creating my own spells now than I was, 2 years ago. So yes, he lost his job 3 times in that 6 months. The first one, he had been there for 7 years. He'd find another job. It'd take about a month-ish. And he'd get a new job. And then 2 weeks later, he does construction. And they would, contracts didn't come through. So we had just hired this whole brand new crew. And they no longer have a job. So they'd all get let go. He'd find another company. This happened 2 times, I think. 2 times? Yeah. In January of last year, 2023, he did finally get hired on with this other company. And he was very lucky. Within 6 months, he was looking at a promotion. He was looking at a pay raise. And things have been good. But I have been very, very careful. Very, very, very careful with the types of spells that I'm doing and where I'm getting my information from, and creating my own spells, my own rituals, and doing these things. So, that's how I know it works. The other way I know it works is a couple years ago, I want to say it was 2022, before my husband lost his job. A friend of ours had lost her job. She was struggling to find one. She came to me, and she is a witch. She was doing some stuff, but none of her stuff was working. So we did a spell ritual together in my bathroom. Because at the time, that's where my altar was. We did this not manifestation. We did a job, money type spell. And within a week, she's got a new job. The same thing happened here not too long ago. She lost her job again in January this year, and she's been doing her own stuff. And then a couple weeks ago, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, She said, hey, I need you to light a candle for me. And I went, okay. So we get on a video call one night, and I'm like, okay, am I lighting a candle, or what are we doing? And she's like, I think we need to do full-on ritual. So we did full-on ritual, and she should have started her brand new job yesterday. So I know the way it works. I know that what I'm teaching and what I'm doing is working. So there's your social proof if you want it or need it. It works. You have to really be very, very, very careful with how you set your intentions and where you get your information from. So, if you have found anything that I have said today to be interesting, please, whatever platform you're on, whether that's Facebook, whether that's Instagram, you can find me either under Mandy Renee, the Black Cat, or the Black Cat's Witchcraft and Apothecary. I do have a free Facebook group. No paid, just, this was the first time I've ever gone live, but I do plan to what did I decide to call it? Tuesday's Twilight Talks at the Black Cat. I do expect that those are going to continue forward, probably eventually just out of that Facebook group. So if you'd like to join that Facebook group, I'd love to have you. I'd love to get to know you. I would love to share information with people and just have a group of like-minded individuals, all of us crazy witches, getting together, hanging out, talking things, maybe doing some crafts like candle rolling or wand creation or witches' bells or whatever people want to do. That would be really, I would really enjoy that. If anything I've said today sparks with you and you want to work with me, I would love to have you check out my ebook or check out I do have a free online guide called Empowered Everyday Magic, and it's off of my website, practicalmagicacademy.us. So you are welcome to go there, join, or check it out, download it. I would love to see you there. I'd love to have you pick up that resource and, go from there. So, I do have paid content. If you're interested in that, you're more than welcome to check out my website, practicalmagicacademy.us. I have a course. I have the ebook. There is a webinar up there, but if it doesn't sell, then I will switch it out with something else, and that's okay. That first one is like, sorry, my nose keeps itching, is like $9. So if you want to jump in there and check that out, that would be cool too. Trying to think. So yes, I would love to see people on Facebook in the group. I would love for people to check out my website, and go from there. If anybody, I don't see anybody chatting really over in Facebook land or Instagram. So if anybody, someone is talking or thinking about me, oh, that could be a bad, bad situation there. If anybody has any questions or would like to ask me about my, witchcraft or having breast cancer or my spiritual journey or personal growth, any of those things I would love to talk about. So if anybody's got any questions, I would love to hear them. So. I feel like I'm sitting here talking to myself. Okay. And I just got a notice from TikTok that some comments in this live were filtered to protect the community's experience. Wonder what somebody said. And oh wow, it is so weird to sit here and look at myself, and I just made a face and I realized that was my mother. I just made a face that was exactly like my mother. Oh, holy cow. You know, I guess I could tell you a little bit about Mom. Mom started a business. Because she had a, let's just call it a goat farm. She had they've got 30 some odd acres, and they had a rather large goat herd because they had a year where neutering didn't quite happen the way it was supposed to with the male goats. So they ended up having way more goats than they should have. And so my mom started a business where she was making soaps and making lotions with goat milk, and they were amazing. They were amazing. I loved them. When I was going through my cancer ordeal, it was actually Mom's products that kept me, because I could get her to create things with essential oils in them instead of fragrance. So she would create things for me that were uplifting, like they would have citrus. I love citrus essential oils. Or she would do lavender things for me if I needed calming and I was having trouble sleeping. So she made me soaps and she made me lotions, and I used those things. And she had also gotten into making natural deodorant, which was amazing. And the interesting thing with that was when you go through radiation, you're actually not allowed to use anything that's not natural with radiation. So Mom made all this stuff for me, and it was amazing, and I loved it. And it's probably the only reason, well, not the only reason, but one of the biggest reasons I would ask her to make me stuff with specific things in it. Like I said, lavender for calming and peace, and citrus for uplifting, and so she would do those things for me, and that was really cool. And when I finally came out of the broom closet to my mother, her and I sat down and I said, "Okay, Mom, I'm a witch." And she went, "Oh, Lord." Like I said, she was raised as a Jehovah's Witness. She has not been practicing since she was probably 17, 18 years old. But she still has some of those beliefs in her system. So when I first sat down and had this conversation with her, she said, "So does that mean you worship the devil?" And I went, "Mom, there is no devil in the craft. That is a Christian thing." And she went, "What do you mean that's a Christian thing?" I said, "That's a Christian thing. That is a construct of most Christian religions, is the devil." I said, Witchcraft is not devil worship." And she went, "Okay." And there's a document out somewhere that's like the American Association of Witches, or I can't remember the exact thing, but you know, somewhere around the 80s, I think, they did a very long manifesto, kind of, about what they are and what it means to be a witch. And I sat down with her and I said, "Here, read this." And so Mom sat there and read it and read through it. And she gets to the end and she goes, "That's really interesting." And I went, "Okay." She goes, I said, "What do you mean by interesting?" And she goes, "Well, you know, I've always used essential oils and I've always used herbs, and she's done a lot of natural healing things too. But she wouldn't call herself a naturopath. She wouldn't call herself a witch. She wouldn't call herself anything. She said, "Well, I've always just believed that, you know, we use the things that God has given us." And I went, "Oh, okay." Basically, same type of conversation then. Whether it's Mother Earth or God. So it was a really interesting conversation. I did look at my mom and I go, I love you, but you do realize you are a kitchen witch, and you would have been, you know, if you were alive in the 1600s, you probably would not have been, based on the things that you do. Now I know that that's not exactly accurate, and that, you know, the rye had mold in Salem, and I know these things, but there are enough of the practices that she does really, really are probably the things that led me into witchcraft, too, in a way, because we had a garden. We always had a garden. We always had fresh herbs. We always had these things, and it was really kind of an amazing, now that I think back on it, it really was, as much as I hated living out in the middle of nowhere, it was really, really kind of an amazing childhood to grow up with herbs, fresh herbs and fresh produce during the summers, and living out where we could have horses and animals and those types of things. Yeah, like I said, I didn't appreciate it when I was 10 until I was 18, and now I'm 40. We won't talk about that. But I would give my teeth, all of them, to have a piece of land up in the mountains and be with the trees and be with nature. I would give anything for that. So, you know, that's kind of where I'm at. And like I said, so a lot of the things that I got into my practice really did come from my mom, even though my mom is very much Christian, and she's okay with me being a witch. I don't know if she's actually said anything to my dad. Don't care. Don't want to know. He's probably rolling over going, oh my God. But, you know, that's okay. So, again, if anybody has any questions for me, I would love to talk about it. I would love to talk about the business. If I didn't plan to, you know, later post this to YouTube, I would probably turn some music on and we could have a dance party. So anyway, yeah, that's a little bit about me, a little bit about my program, and kind of where I'm at. So, alright, well, since nobody's jumping in with any questions, I will probably go ahead and, oh, we're going to get a visitor. Hi, this is Hobbs. Can you stop showing your butt to the camera? This is Hobbs. He's my giant ginger that is about 20 pounds. I currently have 4 cats. The name Black Cat actually comes from, and I realized my TikTok can't see it, so I'm going to move my camera here for a second. Back behind me, there's a picture. Now, there's a big black Maine Coon style cat on that picture. That is not a picture of my cat. That is a picture of, you know, that I got from somewhere, but he does very much look like my big black cat that we had to put down last September. And that cat had been with us for 14 years, I think. Anyway, so that's where the name for the black cat came from, was from 2 of my cats that are both black. And I've always had black cats in my life since I was about 8, 9 years old. Almost always have had a black cat. So, that is, you know, where the name came from, was Biggie and Sheba. Sheba's my antisocial cat, so you'll probably never see her on camera. Hobbs is usually in here bugging me when I'm working. And the babies, I'm surprised the babies haven't been in. I've got 2 gray tabbies, and I shouldn't call them babies anymore because they're 2 years old, but they're only 5 pounds apiece. So they're still the babies. And they will usually come in here and hang out with me and decide to tell me, hey, Mom, it's time to feed us. It's dinner time. And that's probably why he is sitting here too. So, all right, since there doesn't seem to be any questions, I hope you will all come check out practicalmagicacademy.us. I hope you will check out my free guide to empowered everyday magic. And I hope you will check out, the courses that I have to offer. And if not, that's okay. If money's a thing, join the free Facebook group. Come join a community that is about sharing and helping each other in the witchcraft world. You don't have to be a Wiccan or any specific pagan, whether that's Celtic or Norse or whatever. You can be whatever type of witch you want to be. Solitary, kitchen, green, whatever type of witch. Hobbs, can you get your butt down, please? I love you, cat. All right. You can be whatever kind of witch you want to be. You don't have to be a specific type to be a part of my group or to be a part of my program either. I don't teach religion. I teach witchcraft. So, and I go to get ready to jump off, and I am getting a bunch of more people jumping on. Oh. This cat's name is Hobbs, and he is being a butt. Say hi, Hobbs. So, yes, he loves Mama, but he really loves his food, and he's going, Mom, it's dinner time. Mom, it's dinner time. Yes? Stop showing everybody your butt. Nobody wants to look at your butt. I promise. Hey, stop pushing buttons. I don't want to smell your butt. You are a goofy cat. Alright, well, I want to say thank you to everybody who has joined me tonight. I was really nervous getting on here and going live. I struggle with getting on camera sometimes, so I hope that y'all enjoyed listening to me ramble and talk, and that you got some crazy information out of a crazy witch. Please, again, drop by practicalmagicacademy.us. I would love to see you in the Facebook group. Hobbs, dude, stop showing the world your butt. This is not OnlyFans, man. Alright, you gotta get down. Alright. And now that I am covered in orange cat hair, and this is why witches always have black cats, so that the fur matches our clothes. Alright. So, thank you everybody for joining me tonight. I actually have really enjoyed getting to do this and getting to talk about my business and talk about my journey, and I do hope to see some of you on the other side. Alright, have a great night. I will be back next Tuesday at 5 p.m. and I've got some ideas and things planned out for the month of April as far as what these Tuesday Twilight talks with the Black Cat will look like. So join us next Tuesday if you'd like, and we will see you guys sometime soon. Have a great night, everybody. You guys sometime soon. Have a great night, everybody.